So the next presentation is by Rico Metzner. We stay with polymers and polymer solar cells. And yeah, Rico, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello. My name is Rico and I'm a PhD student in Jena. And I want to talk about the robustness of polymer solar cells, stability against semiconductor properties, and its susceptibility towards the layer stack variations. It was the result now finally of one of the larger cost correlation experiments. So those were all of the participants, which of course didn't necessarily always make coordination very easy. So I just want to keep it short. So the actual motivation behind the experiment was just like, we knew that different labs were getting different performances and different stabilities with the different varying P4HTs they acquired. And we just wanted to see how this might be connected with the properties of the P4HTs. And so we planned on getting 5 different batches of P4HT, made solutions from them, and divided them to 5 different cell producers, which made cells from each of the materials. And then those cells were divided to different labs for characterization and aging. And the solutions itself were put under different chemical and physical characterizations. So, and those were the stress tests then applied to the cells. And finally, there were also some additional evaluation by Flux and Pius. Basically, we had all different kinds of layer stacks, all kinds of cell sizes you could imagine in the tests. So at least there was enough variation to maybe see anything stuck around. And you see, we throw a lot of methods at it to find correlations to get the properties of materials. And now that's what we kind of got back. So those are actually just the aging results. And I took out, because I'm going to show them in detail, the PCE is not shown here. Those are all just the plots for the JC, VOC, and fill factor, which we kind of had to get through to get some clue. So I want to go into detail now for the PCE curves. So what you can clearly see, the aging behavior in L2 definitely is mostly defined by the different layer stacks. So different P4HTs, same aging behavior. Different P4HTs, same aging behavior. Unfortunately, 2 groups did not that great, which didn't make evaluation that much easier. But one thing we, for example, could find, from our chemical characterization, or from the polymer property characterization. So the most crystalline polymer, at least when you look at the properties of the polymer itself, performed the best. That's like this one. So we calculated its lay, so its lifetime energy yield. And the hero device actually got for P4HT a rather reasonable lay. So because from literature we know you can get up to 60, 63. So it's okay, kind of. The only problem is, of course, as you can see, it's not consistently behaving well. So for other manufacturers, I don't know. So we actually plotted P4HT behaviors for the different manufacturers. You can see it's still sticking. It seems to be that whoever provided the P4HT, whoever had the most experience with the P4HT, got simply the best results. And that's what we got from L2. So O1, similar behavior. Aging characteristics were defined by the layer stack. And actually, the same thing we got for D2. So kind of no correlation to the different P3HTs, no correlation to the polymer properties, at least none that are not stronger than the impact of the layer stack itself. So we tried to see if we can find something in other details. And what we did was we tried to check what is the EQE telling us of those cells. So this is of different manufacturers, the EQE compared before and after the aging. And it's for the most best performing P3HT, so P3HT1. And what we interestingly found is like that for all the producers, we got like what we were expecting, that the EQE got worse, except for ICN2. The EQE weirdly got better. As all the EQEs were measured without light bias, we can only assume that for EQE, biomolecular recombination got better during the aging. So it got reduced during the aging. So there seems to be at least some impact on the layer stack on how the devices might phase separate, so how the P3HT PCB implants might phase separate out. This is one thing that might be concluded. And another thing that we found is like that even on the fresh devices for P3HT1, there were already some traps in the material, because when we measured with and without light bias, the EQE, they just, we could saw those small differences, so that with the bias, the traps were filled up, so we got a better EQE. And this effect actually just got worse upon aging. So we got, what is our conclusion, we got more traps upon aging. And to the end, some results we got from Floxim. They did SELIF on the devices they got back from the 01 aging in Israel. And what they found was that depending on which cell you measure, so if it is closer to the edge or closer to the center, you could clearly already see some impact from the ingress. So that again showed that it's really important to have a proper encapsulation to get results for like really what's your intrinsic behavior of the material, and not to see how good is your encapsulation basically. So for our final conclusions, we found that for high stability, you need high crystalline material with a sufficiently high molar mass, with a low intrinsic doping, a low disorder, and what actually helps a lot is like having experience with the material. For our characterization of the trace metal contents in the material, we found that within the variation we had, they didn't make any impact. We couldn't find any correlation whatsoever. And so finally, what seems to influence the burn-in behavior seems to be the electrodes, transport layers, interfacial changes that might happen at the boundaries, and differences in the phase segregation of the active layer. I mean, of course, only as long as you take the same material. So that's it. And I want to thank all of the contributors for this work. We are now finalizing the paper, the draft. And honestly, I can't thank everyone enough, because it was like 1 year really for me suffering through all this pile of data. And I think especially Laura might also understand how it was, because she had the other pile of data she had to go through. I want to thank everyone that helped us with funding. And I also want to thank like the contributors in our group in Jena. So that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Rico. We've got time again for 1 or 2 questions, so thanks for sticking to the time. Are there questions and comments. I don't see. Oh, sorry.
Thank you, very good summarizing. I want to ask, the encapsulation methods are same for all devices or no?
No.
Because it's very affect the degradation of the polymer. So
of course. All of, so like of the different contributors. So 4 of the contributors were using epoxy glue, so those 4, and the last contributor was using Serlin, an ionomer. So there was some variation, but with like these 3 epoxies, they all performed pretty similar. So.
Okay, well, Rico, thank you very much again.